A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Look at all this action as we come on lap 100.
Second. Gonna go around. This could be the big one.
Hey, four wide in Texas. Time falls back. There's another bump. There's another hit. Cox into Miranda. Takes
The Yard of Bricks has written many chapters in many auto racing history books over the years. Tonight, we look to either break a tie of wins between two dominant forces looking for a championship, or add a new character to the story with a surprise win and add to the history book of the Sim Rap Market Series. Indianapolis holds a pivotal position in this season's SWM Series calendar, and we're just getting started. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Speedway, Indiana. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Scott Shive alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the No Limit Racing Sim Rap Market Series. Tonight's coverage from Indianapolis is brought to you by Sim Rap Market, by No Limit Racing, and by all series partners. And Scott, it is good to have you back here at Pit Stop TV, back on the mic this evening for a Wednesday in December. We're about to close out 2024, but not the season. This is only the first half of the season coming to a close here this evening, and we have got so far yet to go, so many stories to tell. This is only one stop along the way, but it's going to be an important stop along the way. I feel something in the air, something big is going to happen tonight. Yeah, 4 distinct corners to make up this 2.5 mile speedway. It's good to be here, Indianapolis. This is just such a storied venue. It needs no introduction, truly, but we have to give it one this evening. But anyways, let's talk about point standings before we go qualifying this evening. On your screen now, Zach Millett, Adam Benefiel at the top of the board. They are now each leading this series. They've each got 3 wins, and they're on top of things in the chase right now as things stand. The battle to get into the chase, it's close. Andon Mendenhall, Russell Black, Jared Wishon only separated by 20 points right around that cut line. Alfie Sharon Jr. is safe right now, but not safe by much. Joseph Tucker, Nathan Paris, same kind of deal. Nathan Paris is not on the entry list this evening. He's likely going to drop out, which is going to help that battle between Black and Wishon be that much more interesting. Kevin West is on a rebound, trying to get back into the chase. Gary Bowman, Casey Knighton, Christian Light would all like to get in. Let's see who is able to show up here for race number 9 and who is able to show out. Scott, this is going to be a fun one. New Hampshire, Atlanta, the last couple of weeks, they were great races. Unfortunately, you couldn't make it, but this one might just be even bigger. That doesn't hold the title of Super Speedway. It definitely is, though. It's a Super Speedway. I think that's a good way to put it. But Zach Millett rounds turn number 4 on lap number 1, and so many drivers are out to set their first lap time of the evening. Here's Russell Black. We'll look through some of the paint schemes while we run this first lap. Sean Boundy, Daniel Wiles making the move over to car number 88. Zach Millett, of course, in the 31. Dylan Cardenius in the 12. And Millett will go straight to the top of the board. No surprise there. Oh, Andon Mendenhall getting a little bit free there off of turn number 4. This is to round out his qualifying run down the front stretch into the start-finish line. Let's see what Mendenhall has got. It's going to be better, a 54.169, but not good enough for pole. That'll belong. Whoa! Zach Lindgren to the top of the board. All good runs start with a good qualifying run, right? Well, it's going to be a bad one in the wall there on lap number 2. Jurgen's run will be done, and he's going to have to start somewhere from the rear of the field with a few other drivers. Here's Adam Benefield. That was lap 1. That's unfortunate. He's going to have to abandon it. He might not get a lap in this evening in qualifying. He can't get back around in time. Yeah, he knows it. I'm gonna have to spoil that. It's 1.3 seconds from first to last right now. Yeah, I gotta spoil it. I'm sorry. From first to 10th is only 4/10, which is pretty tight still. Yeah, let's roll with that. It's still pretty close through the entire field. There's a couple of stragglers at the bottom, but a solid field for sure. As we do have a guest this evening, Michael Conti, joining us in the number 8 car. It's going to be exciting to see how he does. Of course, a force to be reckoned with, an eNASCAR iRace and Coca-Cola Series driver of the past there, Michael Conti. So let's take a look at the starting grid before we check out the Whiplash SimCam's race details. On pole this evening, as you see Andon Mendenhall and others gridding up, it's going to be none other than Los Lunas, New Mexico's Zach Lindgren. Sean Bounty rolls off from second spot. Starting third, it's Michael Moultrie. Zach Millett from fourth. Starting 5th and 6th, Kevin West and Jared Washon. 7th and 8th will be none other than Daniel Wiles and Dylan Cardenas. And finally, to complete your top 10, how about Quentin Lee and Andon Mendenhall?
Be there in 12th. Gary Bowman in the 08 will start 13th, and to his outside will be 39 of Joseph Tucker. Brad Peters is in that 5 NOS Energy car, starting 15th, and Christopher Cash is on his outside. Mark Martinek in that famed 6 car is in 17th, and on his outside, Daniel Hoff in the 32. Michael Conti, the famous driver that we know, back from eNASCAR in the 8 car, starting 19th here tonight, but that'll be no feat for him to get through this field. Benefield, unable to make a time here tonight, will start 20th.
There you see through your top 20 this evening. Starting down in 21st spot, it'll be Richard Lanning in car 58. Matthew Taylor from the 22nd spot. Starting 23rd and 24th will be Brian Ruisi and Alfie Sharon Jr. And back in row number 13, how about none other than Casey Knighton and Edward Jurgen. Starting 27th, it'll be Race Control. That'll be a non-entry. Then Austin Cooper in the 80 car rolls off 28th. And that'll complete our 27.5 car field, if you will, this evening for 195 miles here at the Yard of Bricks. Let's take a look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 78-lap race, 195 miles, 4 change sets, 65% fuel, which will be about 24 to 26 laps, somewhere around that number. Fixed setups, no fast fix, and up to 3 green-white checkers are available. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited as these cars roll off the grid.
I'm really excited too. The first time I ever got to drive at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it was in this Cup Series Next Gen car, and I've got to say, you have got to be perfect all night long. This track, being 2.5 miles long, it's really a ton of momentum with those long back and front straightaways. You have to carry all that momentum down those corners because you can lose the draft so easily. That's another thing that we need to talk about here today is the draft. It is so key with those straightaways being so long.
And something that'll affect these guys all day long as well, the weather conditions. It was talked about some accelerated temperatures, if you will, some higher temps for these guys to contend with. 77.5 degrees in the air, 123 degrees on track. Hardly a cloud in the sky, meaning there's a lot of sun beating down on a lot of asphalt here in Speedway, Indiana. It is going to be a warm afternoon for these guys. You see the dust getting kicked up as well. That's going to be interesting, the early part of this race. Dust getting kicked up off the asphalt. You don't see that very often. It seems like somebody forgot to sweep the racetrack.
No, you don't see it very often. That comes with iRacing's new update to anything with debris. And that's what we're seeing off of that. No sweep of the racetrack. Same from, it's a new set since qualifying. Track is reset. So that's all being brushed away now. But that all comes from iRacing's update with everything having to do with debris. And that's going to come into effect when we see the wearing of marbles when those tires wear all day long.
Let's take a look at the trophy these drivers are getting. We hardly ever talk about trophies, but we are giving away a pair of gloves to the race winner this evening, brought to you by IMB Racewear. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk more about it later on, but there you see that pair of gloves. We'll talk more about it as we get ready to go racing this evening from the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here we go, down towards the Geico restart zone for 78 laps at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Zach Lindgren on pole, Sean Bounty from second spot into the Geico restart zone. We are down, we are away and racing at Indy. Through the first turn nicely and down to the second turn. Zach Lindgren, Sean Bounty, Michael Moultrie, the top three. They're unsettling that 31 car out front.
Kevin West back there fighting for fifth. His outside, that's Jared Bashan. Still side by side, now trying to catch the draft. West is going to fall back here, not being in line. And Cardenas will look to capitalize, but he won't be able to. Single file for the top 8.
Sean Bounty gets kicked up into the outside lane by Michael Moultrie. He'll work on the inside now through turn number 4. Kevin West to the inside of Dylan Cardenas. They round the final corner of lap number 1, and it's Zach Lindgren out ahead with a 6/10 of a second race lead. One car spinning on the inside. That's going to be Richard Lanning in the 58 machine down to pit lane.
Looks like he's going to be able to get it around, get it straight, and head into the pit lane. It's a long pit road, and it's very narrow. He's going to be down there for a long time, and even if he doesn't have damage. Michael Moultrie falling back was fighting to the inside of Bounty and lost a draft on that inside line, and he's now back fighting for 5th.
Fighting for it with Jared Washawn in the 27 car. Washawn will be cleared by the 29. And they will battle down to turn number 3.
Really wide behind them.
West. Yeah, Cardenas West going backwards on the inside lane. Cardenas going to win that fight.
Cardenas up there now up into 6th. Daniel Wiles in the newly found 88 up into 7th. And in Mendenhall right there in the Bud car in that 37.
So spreading out here on the first couple of laps, 2 laps complete this time by. There's a run though. Here comes that Michael Conti machine, 14th on the racetrack, moving forward in a hurry. We're on board with him now.
Already up 5 spots on here on the roof cam. That's Brad Peters right in front of him in the 5, and the 64 of Russell Black right there. Oh, Jeremy Brown down low, gets real loose, tags the apron, and he's falling back fast. It's another spot for Conti.
Conti now to the inside of Russell Black in the Grinch machine. He's got help. That's Adam Benefield pushing him down the back straightaway. It's always good to have help at a place like Indianapolis. To get that bump draft down these straightaways is so helpful. I know we just said a little bit ago it's not quite a super speedway because it is flat. You don't have the high banks. You can't run as a pack, but it has some of those tendencies like you were talking about in pre-race coverage.
It really does have some of those qualities, especially with the draft, and it's so interesting how these corners really break that away. So in the corners, you want to be down on the inside, getting that run to the outside of the next, but then you get to those long straightaways, you want to be on that outside because you want to be with the draft, because if you're not, you will lose so much time down this straightaway. Pretty much single filed out here, but it's about to not be right here with the battle in the back.
Mark Martinek, Christopher Cash side by side. Martinek all the way out wide. Clean racetrack. Well, I say clean racetrack. Not too many marbles yet for him to run up into, but marbles will now affect tire grip on the racetrack. That's something brand new, something drivers are not going to be used to having to deal with on iRacing. That was implemented last week on Build Week. So it was in contention for New Hampshire a week ago, but still something new for these drivers to have to think about. You can't run too wide out up on the racetrack. You've got to stay down in the racing line or you can't pick up those marbles.
Yeah, running up top can get you so loose if you're trying to push off the corner. And we got 3 wide back in the back. Alfie Sharon Jr., the 28, Casey Knighton, and Mark Martinek still going at it almost more than 2 laps.
Adam Benefield fastest in the draft last lap, so he will make that purple lap time work for him. Mark Martinek, Alfie Sharon Jr. side by side. Casey Knighton now going to power by on the inside. That's for 20th spot. Lap 5 here of 78.
There will always be battles here back in this mid-pack. Up front, Adam Benefield and Michael Conti continue to advance through this field. They're now up to 10th and 11th, so both up 9 spots from the start of this race. They started in the back, but they are absolutely moving. They are flying here. Already 5 laps, up 9 spots.
The battle up front, Jared Washon, Michael Moultrie Jr. starting to race side by side. Washon on the inside, Moultrie on the outside. That time, Michael Conti goes fastest. But they're quickly approaching this little log jam. We're gonna, if these guys stay side by side, we're gonna have a little log jam behind them. This could very well pack these guys up and get them racing for like 5 positions all at once.
Meanwhile, while they might be packing up there, Sean Bounty is advancing on Zach Lindgren very slowly, but the battle is still here. Right now, Moultrie has prevailed, but I don't see him being side by side or single file for long.
Yeah, well, Sean, I think, counting his cards, sitting back, saying, I don't really need to burn these tires up any more than I already have. Get single file, get some laps logged. Of course, there are no stages. This could go green all the way. I will, of course, knock on wood. We don't want to spoil that one. But this could go green all the way because, quite frankly, this is a high-class field of drivers at a high-class racetrack. Spread out, we could see them go green wire to wire.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this track, really, with drivers of this stature, I really could see it going green all the way, just with how this track races, especially. These side-by-side battles, you know, they don't normally happen for too long, and just the way this track races and drivers like this will race it, you normally stay pretty safe from each other in this battle. Right now, looking back up front, this is Sean Bounty in second position, Zach Millett right behind in third. So these top 3 getting ever closer together lap by lap.
As they do approach one another, let's talk about IMB Racewear just a little bit. IMB prides itself on bringing the highest quality of fully custom race and team wear along with the ability to make it for you, by you. IMB Racewear is the presenting partner of tonight's race. You can check out more about IMB Racewear at imbracewear.com. That's www.imbracewear.com. On board with Sean Bounty as he chases down our race leader. Zach Lindgren has quickly come to life in this No Limit Racing Simrat Market Series. From Elite Motorsports, this guy has moved out to North Carolina to chase a racing dream, works for HMS Motorsport as you see it on the side of that car, and is brand new to the series. Scott ran last week at New Hampshire, finished second. Runs here at Indianapolis, running first. The impressive start to this series for the 85 car goes unmatched. I have not seen anybody join the series and be quite like this, aside from maybe Michael Conti this evening. That said, you just saw in the background this position swap for second. Millett right on through. Bounty going to have to let him go.
Yeah, Lindgren, one of those drivers, is looking to spoil all the fun for some of these other drivers. Might make Zach Millett and Adam Benefield's job just a little bit harder throughout the rest of this season as well. Michael Conti making it look it tough as well. He's up to 6th now.
Conti and Benefield continuing to work through this field. Next up, they'll work by Dylan Cardenas, or at least up to Dylan Cardenas. We'll see how much of a fight Cardenas can put up. But Washon has let them go by. Wiles has let them go by. West has let them go by. I mean, there's just there's only so much you can do with a pairing like that. Michael Conti, Adam Benefiel, the Coke Series experience just oozing out of those two race cars. It's impressive what they're doing already from the back to the front.
It really is. Cardenas back out there, try to sweep to the bottom here to not lose too much time. He just knows how fast of a drive Conti is putting up right now, and he just doesn't want to lose too much time to that. We'll see how he'll put up the fight to Benefiel. Will he let him go as well, or give it a little bit of an out? See him loose Cardenas right there out of turn 2.
Conti now chasing down Michael Moultrie for 4th spot. We have such a good little fight out front that it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Conti and Benefiel get there, because at some point they're going to. It might take a while as Benefiel works the inside of Cardenas, but I really do believe the 8 and 83 are on the move all the way to the front of this field. Even though Benefiel just scraped the outside wall a bit, they are moving forward in a hurry. And here comes Bashan now on Cardenas.
Well, talking about that, especially if we were to get a caution right now with Sean working to the inside of Cardenas right there. Zach Millett just got passed again by Sean Bounty, so these two have continued to fight. That has allowed Lindengren to get away. Earlier, before they were side by side, it was 0.4 of a second the gap between second and first. Now it's 1.2 seconds.
That position swapping will just take them further and further out of the draft, and the draft is something that Conti and Benefiel have relied on so far through their run. Everybody's been packed up to where they can use that draft to go up there and get the next car. I wonder what's going to happen when they get to that pocket of air for second place where they just can't go any further because, well, there is no draft.
Yeah, they're just going to have to see. The two of them might have to decide to work together here, because if they keep fighting like this back and forth, they will continue to fall farther and farther back away from leader Lindengren. Meanwhile, that allows other guys like Moultrie, Conti, and Benefiel to continue to catch up. So you got to fight back in the mid-pack here. This is within the top 10. Daniel Cardenas and Daniel Wiles in the newfound 88 going battle for 8.
Daniel Wiles from Team Conti Sim Performance and America Racing on the bottom side. He's going to get help now, maybe not, from Daniel Wiles. Or sorry, from Kevin West. Imagine that. Wiles helping Wiles. Wiles will back out. West will go by. And the 0-1 continues to move forward.
Yeah, he starts to move forward after falling so far back from the start. He started up in 5th. He didn't fall too far back, fell back to 10th. Now has made up his first position since the start of this race. But I don't think Cardenas is going to give it up so easily, or excuse me, Wiles will. I think this is going to be a battle. But again, Millett and Bounty, finally, single file, might have decided to work together here because the gap has lowered only by 1/10. But they're lowering it nonetheless.
Well, and this gives Lindgren a pocket of air. He can decide what to do with it. He can either keep running hard and keep that pocket of air behind him and try to run away with this thing, or he can sit back and save his tires a little bit and have tires for when they get there. Because even as a pairing, while they don't have the draft, this is something that Conti and Benefiel could do as well. They can sit back and leapfrog maybe. They can use a bit of a push on the straightaways. Even if they don't have the draft in front, they can still make up time by using air and get closer and closer. And that's what they're doing, it looks like, at least trying to do, as Bounty was way free off the corner that time out of 4.
You see Millett right there just leaning out to the inside of Moultrie, or excuse me, Bounty. Right there, he's showing either he's showing the nose or he's getting air to his radiator. When you get bunched up in a draft like this for so long, your radiator doesn't get any air because you're peeled up to the next car in front of you, and so that engine can get real hot. So sometimes you have to peek your nose out, like you're seeing Millett here do, to cool off that engine and get air to the radiator.
That's something I wish we could show on this graphic, the telemetry graphic. I really wish we could show temperatures, but
I wish we could too.
Alas, it's not supported, so we unfortunately cannot do that. But I really do wish. One day maybe iRacing will let us be able to do that, as we have one car slow. Brad Peters in the wall in the number 5 car. Big problems here for Peters.
Yeah, Peters was running back in the top 15. It looks like I imagine he got loose down on the bottom, got up into the wall. We're going to see here on the Pit Stop TV replay it again. It's that not yellow, orange and blue car. Brad Peters in the number 5. He was running 16th, so just outside the top 15. Was in a draft here, running down into turn number 3. Going to see what perspired here. I imagine he's going to go down to the corner. Oh, gets a tap from, I believe that was Russell Black right behind him.
It was Russell Black right behind him in the Grinch machine, and the Grinch has claimed the victim already. It's not very Christmassy in the 5 camp right now. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, the 5 just gets shipped there. Braked probably a little earlier than Black might have imagined. And so that just moved him up in the corner and wasn't... He kept it... He put it on the wall, but he saved it better than smashing into the wall. Still not what you want. Now Conti moving up into 4th, battling with Michael Moultrie.
Moultrie a little free. You can hear the tires squealing there through turn 1 in protest. They're what the 29 is putting them through, but he gains a bit of an advantage there out of turn 1 to turn number 2. What can he do off of the second corner? He's going to hang on to the outside line and try to get a run on Conti, who goes all the way down the racetrack to the inside line to make sure that the 29 can't side draft him.
Moultrie still had a run out of the corner, had that momentum down the back straightaway, since neither one of them have the draft with anyone in front of them. So right now, it's a side-by-side battle between the two of them. Moultrie has the momentum off the corner, and Conti has this faster line.
Moultrie's getting free as well. I think Conti's got the better tires in that battle, and Conti will go by. That's good for 4th position. Here comes Benefiel on the inside. He's going to look for turn 1. No, backs out.
Well, right there, while those two were side by side, that allowed Benefiel to make up the 6/10 gap really fast and in a hurry. Now he's to the inside of that 29 car.
Side by side, Moultrie and Benefiel. Almost contact off the second corner. They'll race down the backstretch. Door to door, the 29 and 83. Benefiel, though, with the better line, is going to be able to surge up ahead and get his nose ahead of the 29 car. He can't quite clear just yet. Moultrie holds on to the outside lane, will pull back between 3 and 4. And out of turn 4, what's going to happen here? Can the 83 clear up? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I think Moultrie lifted there just a little bit, just enough to let Benefiel clear him, but to stay within his draft. So he didn't take that momentum run he could have down on the outside. So that moves Benefiel up into the top 5. Meanwhile, Zach Millett, Sean Bounty, still looking like they're working together. But even though they're working together, well, Conti is right there.
Yeah, Michael Conti has approached, and this is now the battle for second, including the 8 car. So Bounty, Millett, Conti, and soon to be Benefiel battling for second place. Zach Lindgren leads the way. It's only lap 18. We have run a decent chunk of the race, 60 to go this time by, but it's still only lap 18 of 78. There's a long ways to go. We've still got pit stops to make, and we're on the cusp of this being a 2 or 3 stop affair. If these guys run a little bit extra, they can make it on just 2 stops. If they short pit a little bit, it's going to be 3.
Yeah, it's going to be... I think it's going to be dangerous to try 2 pit stops. If we have a late race caution or anything like that, you might not be able to make one of the green-white checkers just because you've stretched that fuel so far. Now, if we get some cautions in between the time, then maybe we'll have enough where you could save under caution. But we're just going to have to see. That's one that's going to have to play out for these drivers, and we'll see who makes the call to come to pit road first. Looking along with Conti, he gets around Zach Millett. Now looking at the back bumper of Sean Bounty. Man, this top 5 is an elite set of drivers, and I think one of these guys, one of the top 5, will be the ones contending for our win.
Absolutely, somebody out of the top 5 I think is going to win this race, and I think we might be on board with him right now. He's just looked so strong from the back to the front this evening. Started down in 19th spot, has worked up into 3rd, is working on Sean Bounty for 2nd, but also sees that there's a big gap of air ahead. He doesn't want to pass the 34, it looks like. Is he saving fuel maybe? Is he thinking about that fuel number?
I mean, that would definitely be a smart play here. Lindgren is out by almost 1.5 seconds. So with time winding down on this first pit stop, this first cycle of tires and amount of fuel, well, he looks to the inside now, might be trying to make the pass now, but was saving for a second, but now they're side by side.
And there goes the Junior Motorsports driver of old. That'll be Michael Conti right on by. That's good for 2nd spot. Benefield now sits back in 5th, a couple of positions behind his teammate. Has got some work to do to get by Zach Millett, his rival for the championship. These two, they have such great battles. They talk very fondly of one another, but they keep having to face each other on the racetrack, and this is going to be a fun little fight for 4th.
I mean, I imagine they have a ton of fun fighting each other within the series every week. They're both so clean to each other and other drivers, so it's always awesome to see these two side by side next to each other. They're about to be side by side right now. Wow, Millett takes to the outside, or takes to the inside. Benefield to the outside. Millett knows he got loose there. Lets Benefield by now into 4th.
Now, if these guys wanted to pull the 3-stop strategy, they'd have to pit now. Realistically, I think everybody's on the racetrack trying to go for that 2-stop. It's going to be faster. It's going to eliminate a pit stop. It's just so close. You've got to go for it. You've got to save fuel and try to make it as Bounty gets free. Benefield now going to look to claim another.
I see a lot of these guys. Millett, it happened to Millett for the first time just last lap. Now Sean Bounty. Some of these drivers starting to get loose off the exits of these corners, so having a little bit less grip than guys like Benefield and Conti. And I imagine Lindengren looks like he hasn't slipped, made a misstep all day long. So these top 3 been saving their tires first to pit road and in Mendenhall.
And in Mendenhall down to his box will take service here in car 37. Michael Conti has just broken in within a second of race leader Zach Lindgren, though. He is quickly running that 85 car down. Has got it down to 9/10 and closing through turn 4, making 8/10 off the corner.
He's just been working so methodically over time, slowly moving past these drivers since he started back in 19th, and it looks like he has the tire advantage above everyone, at least for the next 3 laps, because these drivers will be getting low on fuel now, and Sean Bounty brings it in from 4th position.
Like I said, if they're going to go for the 3-stop strategy, they have to pit now. The sooner the better to get back on the racetrack with new tires and a new tank of fuel. So Bounty is in and into his box right about there. Nice stop. And he'll go up on the jacks and get 4 new Goodyear Eagles and head back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, really, only time you might think about taking 2 today would be a late race caution, because you want all 4 tires absolutely to keep that grip, because over time your car just can get, it's really a mix of tight and loose, so you can get real tight on entry in this car, and like we've seen over the run, real loose on exit, so it's really the worst of both worlds.
Zach Lindgren caught on the outside of Andon Mendenhall. Lapped car going to plague the 85, and that pulls Lindgren back behind and closer to Michael Conti. That's going to accelerate this process of changing hands for the race lead. Casey Knighton now into the pit lane. This is going to help Lindgren defend, though. He's going to have the draft off the 37 car and be able to go just a little bit faster on the straightaways and defend over the 8 for just a little bit longer. But in the corners, it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, it will be. He'll be able to, he doesn't have as much downforce right here, being right behind that car of Andon Mendenhall. With Mendenhall being on fresh tires, he's already getting away. So he might have the draft here down this straightaway, but he won't. Lindgren coming down to pit road.
This is early. I don't like this at all for Lindgren. Hopefully he stretches fuel the rest of the way, because this is an early pit stop. You've got to make it to about lap 26, lap 27 in order to make it on 2 stops.
You got to wonder if he used up so much fuel out there being in front. He was never behind a driver at any point but he was behind Andon Mendenhall right there for half a lap. So you got to wonder if he was probably using more fuel than every driver out here tonight. So was he forced to pit early because he was out front for the entirety of that first stint?
It's a really good point. I think it's very likely that he just was not able to save anything, and he ran about full tilt that first full run. It's going to be difficult for him to save fuel the rest of the way. These guys, though, are going to hit their fuel number, it looks like. They've got to get to about lap 26, as I said. And this is lap 25. Here comes Benefield. You can probably afford to come in 1 lap early. He's locking all the way up, though. That could be a speeding penalty.
That could be. It is so difficult to get onto this pit road. You have to brake so much earlier than you think. So Benefield sliding the tires there on entry. We're going to have to see if that's going to be a speeding penalty.
Benefield with Sean, West, Wiles, Black, and Sharon all coming in, as well as Brown and Jurgen and Taylor. So this is the money lap for these guys to come into the pit lane, it looks like. But Benefield, is he going to have a hold in the pit lane? Yes, speeding in the pits. Adam Benefield, car number 83. That is a huge mistake this early in the race.
Yeah, he's going to need a caution to make that time back up. But, man, that is a killer for the number 83 car. He's going to have to find a way to rebound from that because that is huge. Looks like Conti is coming into the pits now. Locks up just a little bit there, but looks like he gets to speed. Yep, he's at 55 miles an hour. So Conti locks it up for a little bit, but looks like he got to the number.
Michael Conti aggressive on pit entry, but will get it down in time. Comes in with Zach Millett and company. I see Dylan Cardenas, Joseph Tucker, and Quentin Lee, and there is the 83 just now leaving. Yeah,
that shows you how long he was stuck there. The 8 just got his right sides, about to get his lefts, and then he'll be gone. So Benefield would have lost 25, even almost 30 seconds with that penalty.
Conti working down the pit lane will leave the pits and should go right back by Zach Millett. Yes, he will. That will put the 8 back out front. And this pit cycle should be just about complete with Conti leaving the pit lane. Where's the 85 of Zach Lindgren? There he is. He could put a little bit of time here on Conti. It's going to be close.
It's going to be close. Right here, he's going to get it through turn number 2. Just carrying so much speed already. Pitted 1 lap earlier. The 8's going to have to, of Conti's going to have to slide up here, try to catch the draft of Sean Bounty.
Bounty on the outside. Conti will let him go. But Conti back down to the 3rd spot for now. Sean Bounty has pulled up a ton on Zach Lindgren. He used those newer tires to take out a chunk of that time. But he's going to have to pit an extra time, it looks like, unless he's able to save a lot of fuel.
Yeah, I think so. We're just going to have to see about that one from Bounty, pitting 2 laps earlier than the rest of the field, him and Andon Mendenhall. But right now, Adam Benefield, 37 seconds back from the leader when he was under 1 second earlier. So he lost 35 seconds there. He's back to 23rd.
He's lower than where he started. That is a crushing mistake for Adam Benefield. Something you'll learn from, too. That's going to annoy a driver. That's going to irk a driver. That's going to upset a driver, I think is a good way to put it.
It absolutely is. I mean, one of the things, it's better when you make a mistake rather than someone getting into you and there being nothing you could do. It's all frustrating nonetheless, but when there is something, as we'll see, Conti going here for the inside of Bounty, but you know when you make a mistake, you can learn from it. And Benefield right now, coming up in the point standings, he's looking pretty good with the seeding of the playoffs. So there's something he's definitely going to have to note as we roll into the postseason.
And here comes the 8 car again. Goes by Sean Bounty for 2nd. Will work up to the 85 of Zach Lindgren for the race lead. Daniel Half about a lap down. Looks like he might have had a long pit stop. And he, in fact, was in the pit box for about 26 seconds as opposed to about 14 to 15. Richard Lanning was also in the box for a little bit long. He is 2 laps down, though, and out of the main contention of this race. He is down quite a ways in that 58 car. But here comes Conti. Going to roll up on Zach Lindgren.
And right now, only half a second back. He's within the draft now. And, man, Conti just talking about his speed, it is there. It is clear from the beginning when he started to move through the field, but man, he has just got something that no one else has. The only person that was able to follow his pace was Benefield, and we know where Benefield is now.
Oh, look at that correction to the right out of Conti. He's getting a little free now. We talked about the higher temps for this race. 123 degrees on track, now 130 on track as the temps are actually rising as this day goes on. It's clearly not simulated to be in December, that's for sure, or it'd be down in the 30s, I'm sure. It is rather warm right now.
Yeah, really warm on track, making it really slick. That's why we've seen a lot of drivers be able to get so loose on the exits of these corners. But right now, Conti just able to put the right amount of wheel in it. We saw a wiggle from him just a lap ago, but that was the first one we've seen all day long. So he probably took it under advisement, settled up, and getting ready to go again. He fell a little bit back to Lindgren, but man, he is still advancing.
Zach Lindgren leading the race on lap 31 of 78. I want to give a big thank you to our partners with the series. Of course, Simrat Market, the namesake of the Simrat Market series. Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, tonight's presenting partner. Moser Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance. Running in second place is Team Conti, well, Michael Conti. Track Bar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting. A big thank you to those making it happen for us as well. Whiplash Sim Cams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Riding on board is Zach Lindgren as he leads this race over Michael Conti. Conti's got to him, but hasn't gone by him yet. You have to wonder how much Conti is saving. And could he be cutthroat with this? Could he be sitting back and saving fuel right now and making sure that Lindgren can't?
That's what I was going to say. I think that's exactly what he's doing. We saw how Lindgren had to come in just a little bit earlier than probably a lot of us would have thought that he would. And I believe it was because he's been out front the entire time, not able to save fuel at all. So I think right now Conti knows that happened, saving fuel, continuing to put a later advantage on to Lindgren.
Boundy, Moultrie, and Millett run 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Jared Rashawn runs 6th. Kevin West 7th. And Mendenhall 8th. Daniel Wiles, Dylan Cardenas, your top 10. Slot 33 of 78. Clicking them off one by one. And here comes Moultrie on the inside of Boundy. This for 3rd.
That green 29 backs out, wasn't able to carry the momentum through the corner. Zach Millett right behind him, looks to try to make some hay on that one. Won't be able to. Same pace right now, down the back straightaway. The 29 lost a little bit of time to Boundy. Millett peeking his nose out, putting some air on that radiator.
We'll keep tabs on the race leaders. For now, we're going to cycle through the field a little bit. Daniel Wiles pulls up on Andon Mendenhall. This will be the battle for 8th position. A little deeper, Joseph Tucker, Russell Black. This is for 12th. And deeper yet, Edward Jurgen, Matthew Taylor battle for the 19th spot on the racetrack. Just cycling through some of the competition on the racetrack this evening. There's a lot of cars here, hard to cover them all. I'm going to give that moment to some of these guys who maybe having a little bit of a rougher day, but still having a good one out here. Here comes Taylor up on Jurgen. And you mentioned earlier, the season that Jurgen has had, it's been rough. A lot of rough times, a lot of bad luck, but always trying to turn things around, is having a clean day so far, it looks like.
It takes a lot from a driver to have tough races like Jurgen has had and come back to the seat. I mean, that comes from a passion for this league, a passion for driving, and Jurgen has clearly got it. He comes back each and every week and absolutely puts on his best, just gets real unlucky with a lot of the scenarios he's put in, because a lot of the things that he's been involved in hasn't been his fault as a driver, so really shows you the dedication of a driver like this. Matthew Taylor now diving to the inside, Jurgen at 20th.
Still some time left in the day for sure. Battle for 3rd, though, spicing back up. Moultrie was to the inside of Boundy for a moment, falls back in behind. Zach Millett there in that Ford Mustang as well, sitting in 5th. And right now, we're in a holding pattern out front. Nobody really doing a whole lot. I mean, Moultrie is the only driver I see in the top 5 trying to make moves. Everybody else is just kind of sitting, waiting, running laps, getting through this race.
Oh man, Moultrie got real loose out of turn 3 right there. Millett was able to close real fast, but had to lift right on the exit. It's not slam into the back of Moultrie. So Moultrie, I think he's using up a little bit more than guys like Boundy, Conti, Millett, other guys. So I think Moultrie might lose it on the back end here with his rear tires.
And this battle for first is very interesting, in my opinion. I think Michael Conti is being cutthroat with Zach Lindgren. I really do. I think he's sitting back behind and saving all he can and making sure the 85 can't save any. And if I were Zach Lindgren, you might let him get away doing it, but I would let the 8 car go. I would try and save. May as well take that chance. Don't play into that game. That's my opinion. But Conti has put on a fantastic clinic so far. This has been a lot of fun to watch. A lot of stories to talk about. Just so interesting, the games being played by these two, mostly by Conti. But that's a pro driver for you. He is cutthroat, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, a driver of his talent. We know what he is worth. We know what he can do out there on track. We know that he is a strategy king, and he obviously can make great setups with Team Conti. So Michael Conti just playing right now, playing his game, just playing his strategy, what he knows how to do and knows how to do it best. Right now, still 2 tenths in between the two. It's come down a little bit to 1.5 tenths. So he's moving up just hair by hair, Andrew.
Sean Bounty, Michael Moultrie, Zach Millett continue to fight, but eyes up on the top 2 right now, lap 37 of 78. And we are about to hit halfway in this race. Pit stops are coming up in about 13 more laps. And we're kind of just riding around right now. I mean, this is a classic Indianapolis race in a NASCAR series, right? You have a little bit of excitement at the start, you get single file, and you just run the race, run the strategy options, and get through the race, and eventually we're going to have a battle at the end. We don't know what it's going to look like just yet, but you've got to go through the motions. You've got to get there first.
Yeah, the restarts are usually extremely exciting, but it always gets like this, single filed out, these little small packs of cars trying to keep with each other's drafts, and others playing certain strategies. As we come down to this next lap, it'll be almost completing halfway, like you said. And so these drivers just biding their time, waiting for the next pit stop, waiting for what is up next. But these guys up front absolutely know exactly what they want to do. Moultrie got around Bounty, but I still got to wonder, is he going to have a tire advantage later on, or is he using up too much now?
Time will tell on tires for sure. I think we're right about halfway through the run as we hit halfway through the race. Lap 39 here, the completion thereof will be exactly halfway across flags. So as we roll into lap 40, we'll hit that halfway mark. Deeper in the field, and in Mendenhall, Dylan Cardenas are fighting. Mendenhall has been sliding as this race has gone on. He's down to 10th spot and literally sliding off the corner. So problems starting to compound for the 37 machine. He got the wall earlier in the race and pitted early. He's been on the racetrack now for 17 laps, the longest of just about anybody. In fact, yes, the longest of anybody. He's just about perfectly set in this 3-stop schedule. So not exactly the day that you want to be having if you're Andon Mendenhall, but to be fair, yeah, here he comes to the pit lane. He knows he's in that 3-stop strategy. He's going to go ahead and pit.
Yeah, out 23, he was out 23 laps earlier, now just 17 for this one. So you got to wonder if he used up some tire there, but he knows it is time to come down pit road, get a fresh set, and like you said, locked into that 3-stop strategy. We'll wonder what other drivers are out there running the 3-stop. Right now, he looks to be one of the only ones, at least by choice. We're going to see if Lindgren out there is going to have to stop a third time with not being able to save fuel, and others who had to pit early.
Well, as we hit and pass halfway here in this race, Scott, it's time for your trivia game. We've talked about it before. We've had trivia moments before. I love this aspect of the broadcast, and it's all to raffle off a couple of IMB Racewear vouchers for $30 each. Scott, the floor is yours. What is today's trivia question?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. As a lot of y'all know, I love to do it with the talk of the track, and so IMS, one of the most historic tracks that any stock car series ever gets to go to, and obviously it's called the Brickyard. And I did a lot of research looking up earlier when, Andrew, you got to tell me I was going to do a trivia question tonight, and so the question is going to be, what is the name of the IMS specialist who works and maintenance the line of bricks that is the start-finish line? What is his or her name?
That's going to be a hard one to find. Is it just the first name?
First and last.
First and last. That is.
But I
wow.
will say the first and last name, they are very, 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 very similar.
All right, so a little hint.
I want to see if you can get it too.
Oh, there's no way. I have one name in mind. I might message it to you and see if that's right. I'm not going to guess. Yeah, but I have one name in mind that, based on that hint, I think could be a player. But as this race goes on, things holding steady out front. No change in the last couple of laps through the top 10, really. Dylan Cardenas going by Endon Mendenhall is about it, and Mendenhall pitted. There is a little battle between Russell Black, Joseph Tucker, and Gary Bowman. This is for 11th spot on the racetrack, so just outside that top 10.
Yeah, these two, Russell Black, been right around the top 10 all day long, him and Joseph Tucker, but right now Gary Bowman is the one that is putting on the attack in that Christmas Grinch car. That's Black on the outside, but Bowman in that blue and orange 08 trying to work to the inside. Black has the momentum, but he's going to give it up here in turn 4.
So Bowman goes by Russell Black. That is good for the 12th spot on the racetrack. Alfie Sharon Jr. sits back behind these guys, then Jeremy Brown in a new paint scheme. We've talked about his bad luck this season. Go back to Las Vegas, I feel like, for the 30 for the 07 car. Go back to Las Vegas. And Mark Martinek, unfortunately, became a household name, it felt like, in the series at least. Interfering on the last lap with Jeremy Brown en route to victory. It was by strategy, sure, but it was going to be a race win for the 07 car. It was going to be victory. On the last lap, Mark Martinek made contact with this driver and spoiled it all for the 07. He got a penalty as a result. And unfortunate stuff all over for Jeremy Brown. Comes out here with a new paint scheme this evening, I think, trying to separate himself from the early season woes and bring on this new look. I like it. Elite designs on the hood. Something new for the 07. We'll see if it turns things around for him.
You can see he is absolutely working in the wheel there. Was just inches off the wall on the exit of 4 right there. But like you said, Brown has still had a great season. He's running 4th in the point standings overall right now, I believe. And so he has been absolutely moving, and even though he didn't pick up that win, he has been extremely strong throughout the entirety of this first half of the season. Right now, Zach Millett still glued to the bumper of Sean Bounty, loose out of turn 4 right there.
Endon Mendenhall going to spoil this battle as he tries to go by these guys, but Millett to the inside of Bounty. And, Mendenhall, a moment there, entering the corner all the way up the racetrack, goes to 37 right behind these two. The 34 and 31 battle again, a bobble there out of Bounty.
Man, almost a little bit of contact there from Millett and Bounty, but Bounty, so he doesn't have a speed, both get loose out of turn 2.
Side by side still down the backstretch here, lap 45 of 78. And Millett will fall back in behind Bounty. This the battle for 4th on the racetrack, and it's allowing Moultrie to get away. A slide there out of Bounty. He's coming to the pit lane. This is early for Bounty. And whoa, he might be speeding.
That was close. We saw a lot of smoke right there out of Bounty. Got real loose out of turn number 4. Wonder if it was planned to come at this time. I imagine it was, but he got real loose there for a second. He's at pit road speed now, but gotta wonder, is he gonna get caught by the police, the track police, for speeding like we saw Benefiel earlier?
Speaking of Benefiel, he works off the pit lane in the number 83 car, so an early pit stop as well out of Benefiel. That's going to be for a 3-stop strategy for car 83. And the same for Bounty, who's in the box. He will be down and away here shortly. Now the real question up front is going to be whether or not Zach Lindgren can save some fuel and go for the 2-stop, or if he has to settle for the 3-stop.
Yeah, that's one we're still just going to have to wait on. Difference between him and Conti, still 2 tenths exactly on the dot. So I mean, 1,000% that Conti has just been sitting here, saving, and just playing this strategy because, man, it is working for him right now. So we're going to have to see who is going to come to pit first. I imagine it's going to be the 85 because he's definitely going to have less fuel. But like you said, we're going to have to see if he can make the two-stop strategy work or if he just doesn't have enough.
All right, over on YouTube, we just went ahead and posted the trivia question. So you are able to go and take a look and, well, put in the comments your guess for tonight's trivia question. We're looking for the name of the person who maintains the start-finish line bricks that we just crossed right there. The name of the person who maintains those bricks here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the IMS track specialist. As here comes Michael Moultrie to the pit lane.
Yeah, Moultrie in from that top 5 spot. He was working in front of Sean Bounty and Zach Millett there before the pit stops, but he brings it down the pit lane to his box. And again, I love that paint scheme he's got on. Love the new green that he's been running here as of recently in that RPG 29 Ford Mustang. But still, the story out front, Lindgren and Conti still right there, glued to each other.
This time by 30 laps to go for these drivers. Lindgren's got about 4 more until he can make it to the end. It's going to be close. 3 to 4 laps. If he can just get 3 to 4 more laps out of this car, he can go to the end.
Oh, I can hear him shutting it. Zach Millett, I'm listening along with some of these cars. And Lindgren, I imagine, is doing the same. Some of these drivers are shutting off the car in the middle of the corners.
Let's listen down the backstretch what Lindgren does here into the third turn. If he's shutting the car off and if he's even putting the clutch in. The answer is no. So if he's not saving it all, I expect him in the next couple of laps. He's got to make it about 3 more, though.
Yeah, I just don't know where he's going to find them. I mean, he has been out front for the entirety of this race except for the pit stops. So he's had his foot to the floor everywhere. I mean, except the corners, and everyone's working the same in the corners. Conti been right there, able to save some.
Car off. Or clutch in at least.
Yep. Him and Millett doing the same, saving fuel. So that's why Conti has dropped back just a little bit farther. I imagine this is the first time he's been clutching in, at least for the entirety of this last portion. So he's saving more fuel than Lindgren continually.
But are they just getting themselves extra at this point? Are they making sure that they're good in case of a green-white checkered? Lindgren right now just has to worry about making it to the checkered flag. Quite frankly, in his position, you can't really worry about a green-white checkered. You don't have the draft to do it. You've just got to try and get to the checkered flag. If a green-white checkered happens, you'll cross that bridge when you get there. Unfortunately, it's going to be an early stop here. This is right on the cusp. It's going to be close for Zach Lindgren. If he can save here in this last run, he might just have enough, but he's attempting the two-stop strategy along with Jared Rashad and many more.
Yeah, Kevin West in as well, and Jeremy Brown. So all of them are in on this lap 50, coming across the line here to lap 51. But it's going to be 27 laps will be this stint. And the only way that Lindgren will be able to make it is if he is not out front.
It's going to be 27 and a half, 28 laps. It's going to be close for these guys. It's going to be really close. And I see Daniel Wiles missed his box. He had to back up into it. Now progresses up and backs in again. He's going to lose a ton of time as Wiles. But there goes Lindgren. There goes Washawn. A couple of teammates over Elite Motorsports. And Lindgren will pull away. Conti now staying out.
Conti staying out. Is making sure that he can make it to the end and maybe just a little bit extra if we have a later caution. And them two, him and Millett, I think, are in prime position. Been able to save a lot of this race. We saw earlier that Millett was behind Boundy and Moultrie, so he was able to catch their draft, save. Saw them clutching in through the corners here the last 3 or 4 laps or so. So them two have been able to save a lot more than Lindgren and others out there on track.
And there's been an issue for driver 74 this evening, Christopher Cash. We'll go back and get a look back at it. This is going to be into the pit lane, so we got to go back a little bit further for the 74 car and see what happened to him. There was no caution for it. It looks like he actually ran a couple of laps with all of this damage, then came in. So we're going to have to bear with me for just a second. I'm searching for this incident. I believe I found it. Here we go. Sideways, spinning around, gets into the apron, then the grass, and hits the outside wall. And that was his day just about done for Christopher Cash.
Yeah, I heard Benefield just about 8 or so laps ago talk about some spinner in turn 2. And I was looking to see if we were going to have a caution, and there wasn't. Wondered what that incident was, and well, here it is. Christopher Cash just couldn't quite hold it down in turn 1 and 2.
As the pit cycle works out, here's one more replay for Christopher Cash a few laps ago. Just a little bit free off of turn 1, trying to chase it, and lost control.
Man, almost saved it right here, but just goes through the grass just a tiny bit. Oh, man, it is so hard when the car starts fishtailing like that, back and forth.
And we're hearing there's a penalty for driver 01, Kevin West. He's got to come back in. He's just ahead of Michael Conti, the race leader. But this is a pit penalty for Kevin West. Too many boxes. He ran through too many boxes on pit exit. We've talked about it before. You've got to be careful on entry and exit not to run through too many pit boxes. The 01 was caught for it.
We have seen it all season long. Obviously, I missed the last 2 races, but I think in every single race this season, I don't know about the last 2, but every one I've been a part of, past 7, every one driver has at least gotten that penalty at least once every race.
Zach Millett into his box. Michael Conti will be leaving his box. And so Conti works down the pit lane and will exit. And we await Zach Lindgren. Where is that 85 car going to be? There goes Boundy on by. Boundy pitting early has taken over the race lead. Moultrie follows. Lindgren can follow them and save fuel here. They might have to pit again.
Yeah, Boundy. We saw him pit a little bit earlier, and then I believe Moultrie pitted with everyone in the first stint, but that second stint we saw him in a little bit earlier than we might have imagined. So this puts Lindgren out there in 3rd, Conti in 4th. So Lindgren is now behind drivers for the first time today. Will he be able to use this opportunity to save fuel?
He's going to have to. He sits about 7/10 behind Michael Moultrie, who's about 6/10 behind Sean Boundy. And this is the first time the 85 has not been leading laps so far today. This is a beautiful opportunity, as Sean is up to 5th ahead of Zach Millett. Things have changed in the top 5, and oh boy, is this going to be a thriller to the end. A little over 20 laps to go still, which I think means it's about time, Scott. We'll see if you agree.
Yeah.
Maybe a hint on that.
Yes,
question.
I would agree. I think this might be the hardest one I've ever come up with. So, this person that we are talking about took the job in 1996. He has been doing it since then, and his first and last name are the same except for one letter. And I'll give even one more because I haven't seen the answer yet. He retired this year after the past Indy 500 this year.
Oh, so it's kind of like a who was rather than who is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't want to say that straight away because I figured you could search about, who retired. I didn't want to give it away too early. So
Michael Moultrie
is catch you off guard.
We'll find out. My idea is gone, so I'll spoil what my idea was going to be. My best guess was Richard Richardson. That's just 2 names that are similar.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
That's the only thing I could think of. And I don't know who Richard Richardson is. That was just, it came up in my mind. That was a complete guess.
Did you make it up?
Made up. Completely made up. I have no clue. This is out of left field.
Well, I was actually at dinner with my parents just before this, and I was talking about, it's trivia week, and my dad was mentioning the bricks, and I searched up a few things. I learned that There is a load of 3.2 million bricks back from 1909 that they still use to repair the only now left strip, which is the start-finish line. Every brick that is put in there is from the original load from 1909.
That's incredible.
I know. And it's 90% of those bricks are under the speedway now, under the asphalt. But that 10-15% that was never used is in a secret location at IMS and is used to repair the start-finish line.
Watching along from the static cameras, Sean Bounty is able to draft off of Brian Ruiz here as we approach 21 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Richard Lanning into the pit lane. He's now 10 laps down. And Moultrie looks to the inside of Bounty. He's looking for the race lead as Michael Conti uses this draft to go fastest on the racetrack. Here comes Moultrie to the inside.
There we go. Moultrie finally making a move. He was ahead of Bounty earlier before the pit stops, trying to get back to where he was. But these four, the top four right here, all in a line. Bounty out front right now. Moultrie behind, then Lindgren, then Conti, all right here. Moultrie looks to make a move, but won't here in turn 3.
Nobody wants to make that first move, waiting for the other driver to do it. Bounty leads, then Moultrie, Lindgren, and Conti, your top four. Zach Millett now into 5th. He passes Jared Wishon. And here comes Conti on the 85 car.
Moultrie looked for the move. Now Conti looks for the move, tries to get up into the podium. Big lunge. Looks like Lindgren backed off a little bit there, let him go. So the first time Conti is ahead of Lindgren here today. This allows Lindgren, he's gonna have to save. Looks like he makes a bit of a move there, but Moultrie, talk about them side by side, him and Bounty.
Here comes Michael Conti. What a swerve all the way to the inside for car number 8. He's going for the race lead.
Caught those two drivers, Moultrie and Bounty, side by side off of turn 2. That gives him the momentum down the back straightaway, and now through turn 3, new leader, Michael Conti.
Michael Conti to the point at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He leads off of turn 4 with 20 laps to go. What a move out of turn number 2. Conti's going to take over. Bounty to 2nd, Moultrie to 3rd, and Lindgren now as deep as he's been all day long, 4th place. But I don't think all is over for the 85 car. I think he's a lock for 2nd right now if he can just save this fuel. We know the 34 and 29 are going to have to pit at some point unless they can save an abnormally large amount of fuel.
Yeah, with the time he's losing right now to Conti, he's almost a 2nd back. He's going to have to stick here with these two drivers because he has to save that fuel. Unless he has something in the tank to be able to catch up to Conti, he has to stay behind a car.
It'll be 18 laps to go this time by. Casey Knighton has dropped deep in this field. It seems like he might have had a problem. Edward Jurgen had a pit penalty on his last stop, so he's deep in the field now. Knighton actually just pitted. That's what it is for Knighton in the 28 car. So he just came in again. And I anticipate at least Sean Bounty to the pit lane very soon. There's no way he's going to go another 18 laps, 17 laps when he's already run 15. Moultrie in a similar spot. He's just not going to make it on fuel.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. These drivers pitted too early to be able to make it. 27 laps is just too many to make up.
Watching 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Brian Ruisi now 1 lap down. He runs 17th. Daniel Wiles runs 18th. He had to come in a couple of laps to go for some more fuel. Russell Black did the same. Matthew Taylor pitted 6 laps ago, so he came back in right behind Michael Conti. And how about this? It's a 3-lap difference between Conti and Lindgren. And Lindgren now is being held up behind these two. I think he's faster than these guys for sure.
I think he is as well. I mean, he started on the pole for a reason. He's been running out front all day for a reason. But like we said, he just has to save that fuel. And right now, still falling farther and farther behind Conti, now 2 seconds. But he can't make the moves to go out in front of these two because he has to save more fuel to be able to make it to the end.
All the while, Michael Conti is out to a 1.8 second race lead already. It has been 4 laps. 4. Just incredible what that 8 car can do here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it from the start, dropped the green flag from 19th, worked up to 5th or 4th before the first pit stop as we get Adam Benefiel here in for another pit stop again. Saw him get a speeding penalty in the first stop, and he's back now coming off the pit road. Drive-through penalty. At least that's what it looked like.
Well, his box is early. Remember, he started towards the back of the field.
Okay, I was going to say. I didn't know if he had just come down straight. I was like, did he come all the way down for a penalty of some sort?
No, I do believe that was a pit stop, the final pit stop for Benefiel. He's going to blend in about 11 seconds back of Daniel Wiles and about 2 seconds ahead of Russell Black in the 18th position. What a hit that's going to be. Of course, these guys will have a drop week or two, but that's going to be a hit for the 83 car for sure this season. There's Mendenhall in the pit lane, and these two have yet to pit. Boundy and Moultrie, they're going to have to.
Yeah, Mendenhall making his 3rd stop of the day and final stop. We knew he was on that strategy. Ran about 22 laps on that last set of tires and fuel. But like these two, Boundy, I think Boundy has a possibility to make it. Maybe. Oh, he's at 18. He's the one who can't make it. Moultrie at 16, do you think there's a possibility that Moultrie could make it?
I really don't think so. He'd have to save a whole lot, and we saw him pit early there on the second run, signaling to me that he is not worried about fuel. He's not thinking about it. There it goes to the inside of Boundy. That's going to lose his fuel help. I really don't think he's saving anything in that 29 car. And here comes Lindgren, and he's going to push the 29 car down the front stretch.
Yeah, Lindgren now 3.8 seconds back from the lead. But again, that might be what he has to do to at least get a second place finish. That would be his second place in a row.
Only thing is, Zach Millett is approaching and approaching quickly. That would be a big hit to the 85's confidence if the 31 can run these guys down and go on by. And I think you're seeing the 85 start to get a little bit antsy. Lindgren wants to go by this 34 car. He'll do so here on the backstretch into turn number 3. You see Moultrie give the 85 a little bit of aid, a little bit of draft on the backstretch. And there goes Lindgren on by for 3rd. Here comes Zach Millett.
I think he heard you talk about Zach Millett and decided, okay, it might be go time now.
So Lindgren into 3rd. Boundy a little free off the corner. Here comes Zach Millett in the 31 car. 3 wins this season. Has been spoiling the show for everybody else. Leads the points. Is good by some 500 and change. And he wants to finish in 2nd. This is realistically the battle for 2nd on the racetrack and for the finish. The 34 is going to have to pit. The 29 is going to have to pit. And here goes Millett to the inside of the 34 of Boundy.
Millett been working slowly over time after that second pit stop. Working through, saving tires, saving fuel to be able to make sure to make it to the end. Passes Sean Boundy, who, like you said, will have to pit again. So Millett up into 4th. Now he looks at the back of Lindgren, who's right behind Moultrie.
And here comes Boundy into the pit lane. So he will pit. Now it's Moultrie, Lindgren, and Millett. Then was Sean 5th. Cardenas will take over 6th. Lee, Bowman, Tucker, and Sharon Jr. should take out the rest of the top 10. Now we're getting close here, Scott. 10 laps to go. Do you want to reveal that trivia answer?
Yeah, that trivia answer is Woody Woods. So a lot of you got it once I was able to say the first names were the same. So congratulations to Dustin Hall and Mason Houseman. You two are our 2 winners here tonight of the IMB Racewear vouchers.
And you guys can claim your prizes by emailing me directly at andrew@pitstoptv.com. And we will get you the voucher codes. But for now, battle for 2nd on the racetrack. Here comes Millett on the inside of Lindgren. Lindgren will let the 31 car go.
Yeah, I mean, just not much of a fight to be able to put up there. Imagine it. Maybe is he trying to save fuel here, right behind Millett, and maybe pounce back at the end within the last 10 laps? Not sure.
Well, saving fuel running third is better than running out of fuel and pitting and having to finish somewhere in the back.
Very true.
So I think running third is not so bad for Lindgren if he's got to do it. All things considered, yes, he's led a bunch of laps tonight. Maybe could have won this race, but with Michael Conti showing up and showing out 6 seconds ahead of these guys, and this now the battle for second, that's not too bad of a night.
No, definitely not, especially finishing second last week. We've obviously seen how strong of a driver Lindgren is so far here in his 2 starts. So we know that he's definitely going to be back, and he might be a contender for the win continuing on in the back half of this season.
I know I'm going to steal him for one race. That's going to be the next time out at Darlington Raceway. We have an event coming up. We'll talk more about that later on. But I think he's committed. I think he wants to run more of these races. I've talked with him privately away from the racetrack, and it sounds like he wants to run as many of these as possible. Doesn't know how many he'll be able to do. Doesn't know how much he'll be able to commit to it. But he goes by the 29 on Michael Moultrie for third place finally. And will settle in behind Zach Millett and save more fuel. Does not want to have to pit again. And he's got teammates. He's got friends here in the league. He's got Jared Washon, Brad Peters, Jeremy Brown. So he's joining a bunch of guys already that have been really making names for themselves here in the No Limit Racing Simrat Market Series. He's joining really good company in that 85 car.
Yeah, fully agree. I mean, he has got the teammates. He's got the talent to be able to run here. So I think we'll see him back. Kevin West right here battling for position. Him and Alfie Sharon Jr. These two battling for the top 10 as it is right now. And talk about Sharon Jr. He is up 13 spots from the start of this race. So what a drive for him tonight.
You see the snake down the front stretch. Matthew Taylor there is a lap down, so he's not really in it for position. But Kevin West and Alfie Sharon Jr. are. They battle for 10th on the racetrack. And this is about the closest fight on the racetrack aside from Mark Martinek and Daniel Wiles. And Martinek will have to pit. He skids into the pit lane a little bit fast there. That's likely going to be a penalty for Martinek.
Yeah, saw him still slowing down even after the cones, so might be a speeding penalty there, waning in the late laps of this race for that 6 car.
All while this guy leads Michael Conti out ahead by 7.8, nearly 8 total seconds over Zach Millett. The day that he has put together from 19th to 1st. It's no surprise, really. We know how good this guy is. But for him to show up, come out of the woodworks, and absolutely dominate the back half of this race, it wasn't on my 2024 bingo card, and it shouldn't have been on anybody's, I don't think. But boy, is it a welcome surprise.
It really is. I mean, we've seen it and said it all night long. He has worked from the back to the front and has just been so strong in this number 8 car, and who can be surprised with a driver of his talent?
You see the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series badge there on the side of the car. A former champion of that series. Clearly knows how to get it done on the sim. And wants to represent for Team Conti Sim Performance. They've put together the setups for the season for the Simrat Market Series here. And wants to represent for those guys, for everybody who puts in the work, the hard work at Team Conti Sim Performance. Shows up this evening and absolutely has done exactly that. You see them there on the side of your screen along with all the series partners, Team Conti Sim Performance. We are indebted to you guys for putting together these setups all season long and making sure we have fantastic racing, some of the best setups you can imagine. Really fun racing this season, especially at the racetrack where these guys try to come up with a better setup than the iRacing fixed setup, right? We talk about that at Charlotte, for example, the 1.5 miles, where these guys want to have a little bit better racing, want it to be in the hands of the drivers. Las Vegas was that way as well. Just really good stuff from Team Conti, and I'm glad they're a part of this series.
Yeah, I mean, me too. We've seen excellent product from them. We saw a great show at Las Vegas when they decided to switch up. Man, Conti loose there, right there, out of turn number 3. But we saw them bring such awesome setups and different setups to these tracks to invoke passing and all of this excellent racing we've seen so far through this first half of the season.
I want to talk about Sean Boundy, who's working off the pit lane. There he is out of turn number 1. He's just ahead of Alfie Sharon Jr. and now chasing down Kevin West, so a top 10 could still be in his day. Michael Moultrie up the road is just blending out of the pit lane. He's going to blend right ahead of that 0-1 of West. For Boundy, it was 4 tires and fuel. For Moultrie, it looks like it was fuel only.
Yeah, Moultrie trying to spend the least amount of time on pit road as possible, trying to save position right now in 9th, like you said. So trying to save a top 10 here as he had to pit for the 3rd time, but Kevin West right there behind.
A couple of other highlights in the top 10 include Dylan Cardenas here in the 5th spot. Has been really solid today. Started 8th, hasn't left the top 10. So a solid day for car number 12. He's made it onto the top 24 in the standings. He could well be in contention for the chase, the playoffs here in the Sim Rap Market Series before the season is done. So we could be talking about him going for the championship at some point. It has been very impressive to see his rise to competition here in this league. It's been a lot of fun to watch the 12 car get better and better. And Cardenas has got something special here in that number 12. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see if he can actually make the playoffs.
We love getting to see these drivers continue to improve with each and every race. Like you said, he's currently sitting 23rd in the standings, 141 back, and that sounds like a lot. But with 4 races left to go within our playoffs, or within our regular season, he's got still a little bit of time, and a lot of time to make up some of those points against some of these other drivers who aren't having the best nights.
Quentin Lee and Gary Bowman, also a couple of highlights in the top 10 as Boundy and Moultrie race for 9th and 10th. Boundy moves up on by that 29 car and will now chase down Joseph Tucker, but likely won't have enough to get there. 3 laps to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Jared Washawn down to the pit lane. Oh no, we thought he was good. He apparently couldn't save enough on this last run. This spells danger for Zach Lindgren.
Yeah, not what you want to see out of driver the 27 car, pitted 25 laps ago. And that was very, very soon to when the driver of the 85 pitted. So Jared Washawn is pitting here. Yeah, like you said, very worrisome for the driver of Lindgren.
Well, there is Zach Lindgren letting Daniel Wiles go by. He's backed it up a ton. He's got another 6 seconds back to Dylan Cardenas. He can save a lot here these last 2 laps as we hit 2 laps to go at Indianapolis. He's got just 5 miles left to go. Cardenas in the background trying to hang on to a top 3 is Zach Lindgren. Cardenas now in 4th. He could be talking to us at the end of the day if something happens to this 85 car.
That'd be Cardenas' first podium if he's able to make up the difference. So this might be the fight to the end because we know Conti, he is out by a solid 8 seconds up on 2nd place is Zach Millett. And so as long as there's no late race caution, I'm going to knock on my desk here. I think Michael Conti pretty much has this one wrapped up. He's been so solid from the beginning of this race like we've talked about all night long. And he's out there running his pace, running the laps he needs to do, crosses the start-finish line, 2 laps to go. Final lap.
White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. No late race caution here. It's going to be wire-to-wire green flag today. That much is confirmed. Michael Conti works off a turn number 2 down the backstretch en route to victory. He's just got 2 more corners to go. Zach Millett runs 2nd, Zach Lindgren 3rd. And on this final lap here at Indianapolis, can Zach Lindgren save enough fuel? He's run now 27 laps, the longest of anybody, trying to save enough while Michael Conti powers away to a victory. He's going to exit turn number 4 here, and the WR1 Sim Chassis number 8 Chevrolet from Junior Motorsports is going to leave Indianapolis Motor Speedway a race winner in the IMB Racewear 200.
What a drive.
Lindgren is just going to make it. Following Ruiz, he's saving fuel. The 85 is going to have just enough. He will cross the line under power, but only just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he could have made it any farther than he did. Saved just enough on that last run to finish in third. Lindgren put up a great fight here today, but he didn't have enough for that winner of Michael Conti. Absolute performance today.
So it's a race win for Michael Conti here. Gets the congratulatory nod from Zach Millett. And we'll go through your full race results here in just a few. But it's going to be driver number 8 with the race win. We'll be talking to him and the rest of the top 3. Zach Millett and Zach Lindgren. What a rebound this week as well for Zach Millett, who was on his lid in New Hampshire a week ago. But the focus is on driver number 8. That Chevrolet Camaro that showed up this evening is going to drive down this front straightaway and celebrate on this historic, sacred yard of bricks.
What a show. Just listening to the awesome burnouts here by Michael Conti. Well deserved from the performance he put on today. Love the sound of these cars. Always love to listen to them. But wow, just I can't say it enough that the driver of the 8 car, Michael Conti, put on a work today, put on a show. Very deserving of this win.
Very deserving for sure. If we check his stat line, started 19th, finishes first, 25 laps led here, a little more than a quarter of the race, and there's problems for Andon Mendenhall. He's coming back with complete damage on that car. There's Mendenhall down the pit lane. Don't know if that's out of fun or what's going on for Mendenhall, but he's into the pit lane, out of control.
Looks like he's having some fun.
I think so. So Michael Conti with the race win. Let's take a look through your unofficial race results. Of course, we know the top 3, but we'll go through the full field of 28 or so. Out front, Michael Conti with the race win. Zach Millett second. Zach Lindgren third. Dylan Cardenas, Quentin Lee, your top 5. Gary Bowman 6th. How about the 7th place drive for Joseph Tucker? Sean Boundy there in 8th. 9th place, Jared Washawn. 10th, Michael Moultrie.
Well, back there in 11th, Alvy Sharon Jr. up 13 positions from the start. Kevin West down a little bit out there in 12th. Jeremy Brown comes up in 13th, and Andon Mendenhall having problems there at the end. Well, luckily it was after the start-finish line. He comes up 14th. Daniel Wiles in the newfound 88 comes home 15th. While on his outside in the end, that was Adam Benefiel in the 16th spot, 1 lap down after that penalty early on. Brian Nuisi comes home 17th, and Russell Black is 18th. Casey Knighton in the 28 will come home 19th, and Matthew Taylor will round out the top 20 in the 44 car.
Daniel Half comes home 21st. Edward Jurgen, Mark Martinek also 2 laps down, 22nd and 23rd. Richard Lanning a little bit out of this race early, 24th spot there. Christopher Cash out early, he was 25th. Brad Peters 26th, and then Race Control and Austin Cooper did not make the show. That'll be it for 78 laps of racing action here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's all driver number 8 out front, Michael Conti with the race win. Michael, congratulations. What about that decision to start from the rear and make a show out of the opening 20 or so laps getting to the front?
Well, first of all, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I figured that as the person who's building the setups, I should probably try to handicap myself a bit and not put a lap down, start in the back, and methodically work my way through. And that's what I typically do anyway when I do A-Opens. I hate qualifying, and I like to start in the back and pass people. So that's what I did, and yeah, the first 20 laps were fun, cutting up through the field, and then realized that saving gas and cutting a pit stop out was going to be the way to go. So I started doing that when I got up towards Zach up front. And luckily everybody did a heck of a job keeping it straight with a super hard setup to drive. And we are the winners with a caution-free race at Indy. Super cool. Glad to be a part of it.
You mentioned building the setups for these guys this series all season long. Your team over at Team Conti Sim Performance has put together some brilliant stuff for these guys to drive on. What's that process like? Take us inside of that a little bit. What's that process like to build one of these setups and make it for the race league? You're not building just to go fast. You're building for drivability. You're building for a little bit of raceability. What's that like as opposed to building a normal, ordinary setup to try and go as fast as possible?
Yeah, so usually when we're putting out weekly setups, as you said, we're going for outright pace, and then obviously there's a component to that of drivability. I mean, it doesn't really do anybody any good if it's super fast, but you can't drive it. So there's always that balance there with the open setup stuff. But in a league environment, there's a really cool opportunity to honestly make the cars drive worse, take as much downforce out of them as possible, and truly put it back in the driver's hands. And it's kind of incredible what you can do with a next-gen car when you slam it down to the ground, deactivate the diffuser as much as possible, and give it a stance that's becoming of a race car. So we take the boat out of it, we slam it on the ground, we take the downforce out, and you've got a lot of good old-school racing. And you guys have seen that this year. Atlanta was really good. New Hampshire is great. And tonight, albeit strung out, you still had some really good battles and some compelling racing. So for those watching out there, maybe you're in NASCAR, maybe you're a decision maker, take the downforce out of the cars. It'll make the racing a lot better, and your drivers will be a lot happier, so will your fans. But I'm glad we could do it in NLR. We have the opportunity to do so, and I really think it's turned the racing up a notch this year. So super happy to get the call to do it, and really cool to get to drive with the guys tonight racing on my stuff.
Well, congratulations once again. It's good to talk to you, Michael, and hear about some of the process of building these setups for the No Limit Racing League Sim Wrap Market Series. Thank you for your time. Congratulations. Hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Michael Conti with the race win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's Zach Millett second place, Scott, and what a day it was for Zach Millett. Again, a rebound from flipping at New Hampshire. What a rebound for sure. A much better day for that 31 car.
A much better day for Zach Millett here today. Like you said, was on his head early on, as we'll get some of his audio from the clips there. But Zach Millett up here in the booth. Zach, you come home second today. Again, like we said, a much better than being on your head at New Hampshire. What more did you need to bring the setup or bring the fight to Michael Conti?
Oh, God, I don't know, man. I certainly didn't have a P2 pace car tonight at all. I felt like I was probably like a 4 or 5. I mean, there's so many guys that had just crazy pace tonight. Obviously, Conti's insane. But Benefield, he's always fast. He's ridiculous fast, and he definitely had it. Came up with Conti from the back. Those guys made it look easy. I mean, it was just every lap I look back and was like, oh, half a tenth, oh, full tenth. All right, there they go. But, I mean, shout out to some of these guys, like Sean Bounty, Zach, the 85 car. I mean, these guys were ripping tonight. And, man, I'm happy that I could kind of tell that once those guys went by, they checked up a little bit and could tell they were saving a little bit. So I said, we don't have the pace, so we might as well try what they're doing, and paid off.
Yeah, you talk about not having the pace to, you would think, finish P2. What is it like having to sit in the car and think, okay, what do I need to do if my car doesn't quite have the pace of these other guys? What did you have to think about as a driver to be able to make up that ground on them?
It was tough, man, because, I mean, I felt like I had short run pace pretty good, but it's hard to sacrifice the tires to be fast in the short run, so you really had to kind of save what you could without giving up too much, because passing was just incredibly difficult. The dirty air, I mean, unless you were that much faster than somebody else, you just kind of get stuck behind them. So
yeah,
I don't know. We tried to, keep the heat. I was telling Conti in the green room there that I was trying to keep the heat out of the right rear, and it was just so damn hard to do. But I don't know. I wish we had another 200 laps. Honestly, I could probably maybe figure this one out.
Well, maybe we'll be able to come back here next season for season 3. But you had a great day. I think one of those things that allowed you to rise to the top was minimal mistakes. We saw some of those guys pit a little bit early, not save as much fuel. And did you think that might have been another reason you were able to find yourself up here in P2?
Yeah, I think entirely that's the reason. Once I saw some of the fast guys coming down a little early, I still had 2-3 laps left in the tank, and it's so hard to save that much gas. I mean, it's a lot of on throttle time here. Late in the run, you're getting out of it pretty early, but still, I mean, it's a big track. It's hard to save that much gas, man. But yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, well, although it's not a P1, sounds like you're happy about a P2 here tonight.
I couldn't be happier. I mean, finishing second to Conti, I'm good with that any day of the week. And I just got to give a shout out to you guys, Andrew and you, Scott, at Pit Stop TV. You guys do an awesome job. SWM, NLR, Crack Bar Media, IMB Racewear, Team Conti, Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, RS Button Boxes, and Apex Sim Racing. And it's just an awesome league to be in, and I just look forward to this every week, man.
Well, really glad to get to talk to you. Sad we're taking a break, but Merry Christmas, man. Be safe in the break.
Absolutely, guys. You too. Happy holidays.
All right, that was driver of the number 31, Zach Millett, coming home second today. And we've got the other Zach. He's going to come in here and talk to Andrew, coming home third.
For the second week in a row, I'll be talking to Zach Lindgren after one of these races. Second week in a row for you in the series, and you come home with another top 3, second at New Hampshire, third here at Indianapolis, and a whole bunch of laps led. Is there anything, Zach, that you could have done to get this race win tonight over Conti?
Not get used by Conti. That's one of them. When I saw him catching me on that second run, I was like, all right, well, this is kind of to be expected. He caught all the way up to me and just kind of stopped. I was like, this is kind of unexpected. I was like, either one, I'm holding off Conti because of my speed, or two, he's doing something different. And I was leaning more towards the latter part of it, but honestly, realized what position I was in as far as fuel in the first run. That's probably the biggest thing I could have had a chance to even come close to matching Conti, maybe even Millett right there at the end. But I didn't really realize what my fuel situation was until halfway through the second run, and then when I realized what Conti was doing, I started trying to do the same, and I think doing that was the benefit to get me to the end. But as you see, I was pumping on fumes right there at the end.
Well, it's a second top 3 in a row, which is a second top 5, top 10. All the stats are looking good for you right now. Of course, we're going to steal you for one event for Darlington, so we're going to steal you from Darlington, but how many more of these races do you run? How many more of these races do you go for to try and get one of these wins?
Well, I mean, I had a couple cards fall my way as far as the fast drivers. I think we all knew Conti was going to be the creme de la crop of the field, and Benefiel, he was running through the field too, but I think he had an issue on pit road, so I kind of had a card fall my way there. And same thing with Millett, we all knew he was going to be fast. So to pop off a win, I think I'm gonna need more luck more than anything, but I feel like if I continue showing a decent amount of speed, I think I think I'd have a shot somewhere. But like you said, you're stealing me for Darlington, which is completely fine by me. I'm going to be gone for the next couple weeks. I think next week is off, but I don't know about the last Tuesday of the year. So, it just depends. I'm very much looking forward to this series. It's been very, very fun, been very, very competitive. So, I'm now looking forward to it. I might, with the exception of Darlington and whatever might else happen, I'm hoping to run out the rest of the season. So, besides that, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season, really.
Well, congratulations on another top 3 pole this evening, 46 laps led, all kinds of stats for you this evening to go home with. Congrats, good to talk to you once again.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
And we'll be stealing Zach Lindgren for the January 8th event. We'll have more information about what we're doing on January 8th coming up soon here, Scott. But we have a special event coming to Pit Stop TV. It's under wraps for now. Some might know, but January 8th, we're going to have a special event alongside the Darlington race. So we'll still be live for Darlington. We're still going to have coverage here of Darlington on Pit Stop TV, but we'll be playing a couple of different fiddles that day as well. We'll also have a separate event on January 8th that I'll be handling. We'll have a backup producer here for Darlington. Zach Murtis is going to join you, Scott. It's going to be a fun one for sure, and kind of some throwback vibes, and you guys get to make fun of me not being there.
Well, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to hear what it is that you guys are all doing and working on back in the shadows and everything secretive here, fans. Y'all will hear about that soon enough, and me and Zach will hit it. And yes, we definitely will make fun of you while you're not here.
Well, fair enough. You see the rest of the schedule here: Darlington, Pocono, and Richmond before the playoffs begin at St. Louis. Then Miami, Talladega, Sonoma, Kansas, and Florida for the full rundown of the season schedule. I'm looking forward to California for sure for the championship. That place puts on some really good races with this next gen car, and coming up there right when the NASCAR season's starting as well. Just going to be a lot of hype around the end of this season for sure, and whoever ends up winning this championship. And what a punishing round of playoff races. St. Louis, Miami, Talladega, Sonoma, Kansas, California. There's really nowhere to hide. Yes, you have a couple of mile-and-a-half racetracks, but those are the most chaotic now, it seems like, in this next-gen car. There is nowhere to hide in any of those 6 races. It's going to be a punishing playoffs for these guys. There is nowhere to hide in any of these races remaining.
Yeah, the champion will rise to the top, of the crop in those final 6 when we reset our points and start again for those final of the top 12. That'll make it, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Let's look at the season schedule through the end of the season. Let's take another look back at the IMB Racewear gloves given away to Michael Conti this evening, the race winner. What a beautiful pair. I love the brick stylization there on the middle ring and pinky finger. I love everything about this set of gloves. The Indianapolis 200 part, but the IMB Indianapolis 200 goes to Michael Conti, and this pair of gloves will as well. IMB Racewear prides itself on bringing the highest quality of fully custom race and team wear, along with the ability to make it for you, by you. Just checking out their website, you can tell how user intuitive it is. Really nice stuff over IMB Racewear, and they are the presenting partner of tonight's race. Check out more about IMB Racewear at www.imbracewear.com. That's our sponsor highlight for the evening, IMB Racewear. Thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure as always. Want to give a big shout out to those who help us get to and from the virtual racetrack. With the series, you've of course got SimWrapMarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, Moza Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Track Bar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics and Cyber Edge Hosting, and of course your Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Sim Cams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Any parting words here? Any parting thoughts here for us, Scott?
Well, first of all, glad to be back again here this week after my 2 weeks off, and I know we're going to have another break here for Christmas and New Year's, but man, this is a great race. This is one of the reasons that everybody loves IMS, the racing that it puts on, and no matter what car you're in, this is really in the hands of the drivers. That's one thing I love about it. You see the guys that can really work this track and learn its consistencies and the things that make it so special. Those who can learn it can rise to the top.
It was a fun one this evening for sure. Upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV look like this. We've got the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series tomorrow night, December 19th, at a mystery track. We don't know where we're going just yet. Same thing for Thursday, January 2nd, after the holiday break. Another mystery race, so 2 mystery races in a row. And then Tuesday, January 7th, it's back to our usual programming as well for the new year with the Red Bull Ring out in Spielberg for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Yes, NASCAR Next Gen cars on the Formula One track there, the Red Bull Ring. That's going to be a lot of fun on January the 7th, and then we'll get into January 8th and all of that fun stuff. But for now, you've got to just stick with us. We'll be spilling some beans here about it here very soon, Scott. There's plenty of places to watch along here at Pit Stop TV.
Yeah, plenty of places to watch along. You can find any of our updates about what we are broadcasting, when, and where, all on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, our website, pitstoptv.com, our Twitch, and of course our X. You can find it all about what is up next and upcoming for everything on Pit Stop TV.
Thanks for tuning in this evening. It has been a pleasure as always. Pit Stop TV, thanks you for watching. I thank you for watching. Scott, thanks you for watching. We all just thank you for watching this evening. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you all next time here at Pit Stop TV.
A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart? Look at all this action as we come on lap 100.